What is going on, Jets fans? This is Luca here from Gangrene Chronicles, and today I will be analyzing the final roster trim down for the New York Jets, them moving to a 53-man roster, and also analyze my most important takeaways. But if you guys haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't go live or drop a new video. Regardless, let's get into the breakdown. So to start out, the Jets placed two players on injured reserve for the first 4 weeks. That one being Byron Cowart. He has been injured since the beginning of the preseason and the beginning of training camp. Shouldn't be surprised to many people. He hasn't played in the preseason game yet. He hasn't seen live game action yet. So the Jets placing him on injured reserve is erring on the safe side of caution. Jamarcus Weston was actually a surprise for me. He actually got injured on the final game of the preseason against the Philadelphia Eagles. Per the beat reporters, he was actually supposed to make the roster, and the Jets were highly impressed with his work on special teams. So when Weston gets back, he will be a member of this Jets 53-man roster on special teams. And another member of the special teams who hasn't practiced or played all offseason is Irvin Charles, and he'll be moving to the PUP list. He's recovering from a season-ending injury last year. Moving to my takeaways, and this is arguably my most critical takeaway, kind of in a negative light. Some will see it, but I don't really care, to be honest. The Jets are rolling with 6 wide receivers, which includes Allen Lazard, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Johnson, Arian Smith, Josh Reynolds, and Xavier Gibson. Out of those, I'd say 5 I expected to make the roster. Lazard was obviously going to stay. He's going to be healthy for week 1 per Aaron Glenn. The biggest question, though, was Xavier Gibson. And I find it interesting that Aaron Glenn talked about competition all offseason. Competition. Heard everything come out of his mouth when it came to competition. You know, you obviously have Joe Tippmann and Josh Myers competing for the center spot. You have some other battles going on. But what I don't understand is why the Jets are keeping Xavier Gibson. Outside of that walk-off punt return touchdown against the Bills in 2023, the dude has been a one-hit wonder. He is very skittish as a punt returner, offers nothing as a wide receiver. And here's some stats as well. Since 2023, the past 2 seasons that Xavier Gibson has been a Jet, 5 punt returns for 20-plus yards, which is probably mediocre, and 9 fumbles. Very skittish returner. That's not going to do it on special teams, especially the way the Jets are going to play with good defense and good special teams and try to have the offense carry the bare minimum for the Jets. To me, I don't understand keeping Xavier Gibson. Even with that, I don't understand the Jets not keeping at least one of Jamal Pritchett, Quentin Skinner, or Brandon Smith. I'm not saying the Jets would carry 7 wide receivers. I think I actually predicted that originally. Maybe a little bit unrealistic. 6 wide receivers is fine. But you're telling me you can't use any of these guys? Because let's look at it this way, right? The Jets wide receiver position coming into training camp was a huge question mark. Tons of battles there. Garrett Wilson was the lone wide receiver one. We all know that. We know where he's going to be. Allen Lazard was competing for a spot. I knew he was going to stay. Arian Smith has developed nicely. He's obviously going to stay. Tyler Johnson, Josh Reynolds, I knew they were going to stay. So that makes up 5 wide receivers. Pritchett, Skinner, and Smith all played their asses off. Pritchett especially had a very nice punt return against the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, he had a fumble and he looked skittish on one play. But if you want to make the argument that Jamal Pritchett arguably can do exactly what Xavier Gibson does or can't do, that's a very good argument. And I argue that Jamal Pritchett should have stayed on the Jets roster. I am hoping that the Jets keep Pritchett on the roster. The practice squad. I hope they keep Skinner on the practice squad. I hope they keep Smith on the practice squad, because any team can honestly take these guys and have them on their 53-man roster. I think they had good enough preseasons to justify a spot on the 53-man roster. Among the wide receiver cuts as well, no surprise, was former Jets third-round pick Malachi Corley. And no matter what is probably trending on Twitter right now, but Malachi Corley barely showed anything in the preseason. He didn't play with the starters for the Jets. He didn't play with the offense for the Jets until the fourth quarter against the Giants in the second preseason game. He had a lot of time during the Eagles game. Didn't really show much of anything. Apparently, per Connor Hughes, he had attitude issues, he had personality issues. So Corley is as good as gone, and it's another failed mid-round wide receiver for the New York Jets. And if I want the Jets to claim at least one wide receiver that has been cut from teams during the waiver wire, I'm looking at Trey Palmer from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Palmer was originally drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2023, 6th round. Arguably, he could have gone earlier. He previously played for LSU in Nebraska. He eventually graduated from Nebraska. But in 2 seasons with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's played in 32 games. He has 557 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think for the Jets, he would be really good as a deep threat possibly. And Palmer was in a big wide receiver room. He was in a very crowded wide receiver room. I do think there's untapped potential there. Am I going to say he's going to be like a wide receiver 1 or something? No, but I think he's a valuable wide receiver that could add some young talent to this Jets wide receiver room in a room that is somewhat barren. Another questionable move that the New York Jets made during this 53-man cutdown was keeping Jeremy Ruckert. The Jets, yes, they kept Stone Smart. They kept Mason Taylor, obviously, because he's a second-round draft pick. They kept Andrew Beck. But Jeremy Ruckert's back after virtually having no action in the preseason. Yes, he played. He was in negative when it came to receiving. He was in negative when it came to blocking. He is not a plus route runner at all. And he virtually does nothing on the football field that'll make you say, oh, well, there's a reason for keeping him. There's virtually no reason for keeping him unless this Jets coaching staff believes that they can get something out of the former 3rd-round pick. You could argue, this goes for Gibson as well, that the Jets could have cut Ruckert and Gibson prior to the draft and in the offseason. The Jets would have saved money. I don't know how much, but I don't think it would have affected them. And once again, you talk about the word competition, which Aaron Glenn has said over and over and over again. That's another decision I don't understand. Jeremy Ruckert basically doing nothing. And here's some 2 names that the Jets could be interested in. Jelani Woods and Greg Dulcich. Dulcich, formerly of the New York Giants, had a really good preseason. Jelani Woods would be a very good tight end, too, next to Mason Taylor. So at the end of the day, I would very much like the Jets to be in the tight end market when it comes down to the waiver wire, because Jeremy Ruckert, being the tight end 3 or tight end 2 or tight end 1, whatever position that he plays for the New York Jets, whatever string, is just not it. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, the Jets are carrying 5 corners, technically 6. Derek Bernard-Converse was cut after a very good preseason. Kind of shocked to see that. I think he could have had a role in special teams, possibly, but I think he served as a very solid depth corner, or would have served as a very solid depth corner for the New York Jets. I think he had a very good preseason. Just didn't understand why, but the Jets carrying 6 cornerbacks. They have Isaiah Oliver. They have Quantez Stiggers. They have Sauce Gardner. They have Michael Carter. They have Brandon Stevens. So at the end of the day, maybe there was just not enough room for Derek Bernard-Converse, but it's interesting to see. I really like to understand why the Jets cut him after such a good preseason when they need a little bit more help in the secondary. Another interesting takeaway for the New York Jets, the Jets are carrying not 8, not 9, but 10 offensive linemen. Consider the starters, consider the depth guys, the key depth guys like Max Mitchell, Chu Okorafor. You have Josh Myers, you have Xavier Newman. They also kept another guard, that being Marcus Hayes, and he will be the backup guard. He will be the second backup guard the Jets have. Don't know if he could play center, but it would be interesting to see. So the Jets carrying 10 offensive line was a bit of a surprise for me. It makes sense at the end of the day because you're essentially having one backup for each position. They left both tackles and both guards and a center position. So this one I could understand out of all the surprises. My last takeaway, it's a small takeaway. Towards the end of the cutdown, I was not surprised, but surprised at the timing. The Jets did cut Brady Cook. They also cut Adrian Martinez a few days ago. Was surprised at them cutting Martinez before Cook, but there was a little bit of hesitancy and interesting takes on Twitter how Martinez was the better quarterback, and I would happen to agree with that. And considering what Aaron Glenn said about Tyrod Taylor, it makes sense why both Cook and Martinez didn't make the team. I'd say Martinez had the better preseason than Cook, and I'd say I'd be very interested to see which quarterback between Cook or Martinez returns to the Jets practice squad. So those are my Jets 53-man roster takeaways, the final 53-man roster at that. If you guys have any thoughts, whether you disagree with me or agree with me or you have a point to bring up, feel free to comment down below. Also, feel free to give me some video suggestions. Which topics do you think I should cover for the New York Jets? Also, as well, if you guys haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so when I go live or drop a new video. Also, share this out to your Jet fan friends and family. Without further ado, folks, I'm out of here. Go Jets.